What I wanted to talk about today was that first tenet of conscious capitalism, higher purpose, that Peter mentioned. So about a year ago, exactly, in April of last year, my company set out to change the way we market ourselves, and we embarked on a little journey of content marketing, I guess is the way I would describe it. And as part of that, my job was to write a blog post every 2 weeks or so. So we had an editorial calendar, and I would spend Saturday mornings in White Plains where my daughter does some volunteer work, and I would go in the coffee shop, and I popped it open in April, and I was looking at this one Saturday morning, okay, I have to write a blog post about mission, vision, and values. And now I knew these were really important concepts because they are at the heart of how all companies behave. They're among the most important statements that they can make and put in writing. They will affect everything from the culture of an organization and how employees behave to how they market themselves, how they treat partners, everything is kind of encapsulated in that. And so as I sat down to write about this, I figured, okay, this will be a great post. What's the difference between mission statement and vision statement again? Does everybody know?
Vision is purpose, vision is future and vision.
So first thing I did is I Googled it. And what I found was 97 million documents on Google related to the difference between mission and vision, which was my first hint that something might be wrong with this approach. The next thing I did is I started to look at great brands that I respected, like FedEx, as one example, to see what was their mission statement. And I saw something like this, which, as Peter talked about a minute ago, a lot of these are oriented towards one stakeholder, the shareholder. You see that in this statement here. Now, this is a company with a fantastic heritage, culture, none of which comes through here. And probably this statement wouldn't do much to motivate you as an employee. Next thing I did is I looked at a whole bunch of different companies and their values, and I saw this. Everybody has integrity as a core value. Right? So I've got a mission statement that really doesn't connect with me. I've got everybody claiming the same values. Something like 98% of the Fortune 500 use integrity or honesty as one of their core values. Starts to become pretty meaningless. So I wrote a post, and I was determined not to write another post on how to write a mission, vision, value statement. And instead I wrote this, and I claimed the mission, vision, values were dead. And I put this up on LinkedIn in about 2 days before Memorial Day, and my phone blew up all weekend long because you could download a little infographic at the end of it. By the end of the year, it had been read about 75,000 times, and somewhere over 83,000 at this point. And this is what I did in the post, and this is why I think it went viral and what was kind of relevant to what we're talking about here today with higher purpose. First thing is I looked at what's wrong with this framework. Why do I think it's dead? First of all, old age. This is a framework that first showed up in business school curriculums in the 1960s, and it perfectly captured sort of the imagination of a post-World War II generation, right? They had won World War II, they're all about accomplishing a mission, but it doesn't really resonate with millennials today. Okay, that was sort of the first problem. Second thing is it's a very confusing structure. There isn't, how does vision relate to mission? How do values play into this? How do I understand these three together? It's not there. There's no context, so it's hard to remember it. It's hard to write them, and people argue over, right, 97 million documents of what they mean. They're obviously not differentiating, right? Everybody's fallen into the same habits of writing them the same way or using the same core values. So they're not doing anything to differentiate a company. They're not useful from a brand standpoint, which is one of the things I look at. And so they're not used effectively. Maybe they show up on a poster somewhere, but they're not something a sales rep remembers or customer service rep remembers when they're out talking to a customer and engaging a customer. They're largely ignored, which is a problem. And the second thing we did is I proposed a different framework. And we call it purpose, way, and impact. And the first thing you'll notice is that it's modeled after the 3 stages of a rocket. Why? Because that gives it context, which is missing in mission, vision, and values. Each stage relates to another. Roughly, first stage is purpose. Purpose is akin to your mission statement. We think it's a little bit different though. And really it's rooted in what is wrong with the world that you want to change. Right? It's the whole reason a company gets started in the first place. It's what gets the whole initiative off the ground. Okay? Rooted in change. How are you going to change that? What are you going to do about it? The second stage, once you're off and running, is the way statement. Now, a way statement is going to involve really 2 things. Something functional about the business that's different, okay? But also something spiritual about the culture. That's not going to involve all your core values. As an example, I used in the blog post Southwest Airlines. I talked about how their purpose was to democratize air travel and make it fun again. Their way, okay, was a combination of two things: a functional business approach, which is to keep costs down, and the second thing was to make it fun and enjoyable, to use humor. Now they have a lot of other core values, like safety, right? They're an airline, but that doesn't differentiate them. What differentiates them is keeping costs down and then celebrating humor as a way to get through kind of a difficult environment. And that will carry you up into orbit. And then the last stage is impact. And instead of a vision statement, which tends to be very inwardly focused, we intend to be the best company at blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about what's the impact that you have. If you get up to orbit and you look down at the rest of the world and you've achieved this purpose, how have you made lives better? How have you made the world a better place? So real simple framework, gives, each one relates to the next, and it becomes easy to remember. You can use it to kind of tell a story a little bit. And that was kind of the idea behind it. So here's an example that we created just as an example using FedEx. So if you think about it, FedEx's purpose, the reason Frederick Smith founded the company, was to make sure that any person could conduct a physical transaction anywhere in the world as quickly as possible, overnight. At the time, in the 1970s, you couldn't do that. Air travel was not aligned to do package delivery. It was more about passengers. So that was why he created FedEx. The way they do that, right, is by combining this advanced technology and transportation, all this stuff that they do in logistics. But more importantly, that's the functional thing, but more importantly, the spiritual, this whatever it takes attitude. And it's legendary, all right, for this company. They have a whole program of employee recognition called the Purple Promise Award that's based on this concept. And we're all familiar with it because we've all seen Castaway, right? Movie Castaway. What does Tom Hanks do after being stranded at the end, 10 years on a desert island? He delivers the package, right? Whatever it takes, that's what they celebrate. Was any of that in their mission statement? No. And at the end, if they do their job, if they accomplish that mission, right? When every organization can conduct, and every individual can conduct global commerce, basically the world shrinks and everyone prospers. So that's the kind of idea of how you can put three simple statements together using that framework that we think ultimately becomes a little bit more effective. Doesn't necessarily going to mean you have no core values or any of these other things, but this is a more brand-friendly way perhaps to put these things together and talk about it. So that was the idea. If you want to learn more, you can check us out at Brand Foundations or go to purposewayImpact.com and check out, we have an actual do-it-yourself sort of workshop kit that we developed for help people create that thing themselves. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.